What's up, everybody? Sports in the Bay with Felicia and Eddrick. We have a very, very special show for you guys today as we commemorate the life of Willie Mays. Felicia, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Sports in the Bay with Felicia and Eddrick. Felicia, we'll just jump right into it. I'm going to hand it off to you, and you let us know who these distinguished gentlemen are today.
Well, I'm looking at a ceiling on one.
Oh,
I have the one and only Dave Gangona, former Cron sports producer, and he was also my boss. I was an intern under him and learned a lot. I credit him for a lot of what I've learned in production and in radio and television. So we have Dave Gangona, who has spent some time with the late great Willie Mays. And then we have Nate Oliver, Cut Nate, who is also a member of my family, and cousin Nate, well, Nate Oliver to you all, was a 7-year Major League Baseball player and spent some time with the San Francisco Giants and also with the late great Willie Mays. So they're here today, blessing us with their presence, and they're going to talk about the impact that Willie Mays had on them. So, guys, thank you for joining us.
great to be here.
More than welcome.
So let's start
You
out
want to
with
go first?
maybe both of you gentlemen can start with your earliest remembrances of Mr. Mays.
Nate better lead off. He played with the man.
My earliest would be my first year in the National League, which was 1963. One of those typical Dodger Giant affairs. And that's when I first saw Willie, when I first had an opportunity to witness the unbelievable talents that he possessed in person. You can't say enough about Willie. You can't say enough about what he does. You can't say enough about what he did. Can't say enough about the people he helped. You can't say enough about the rapport that he insisted that we all have in the clubhouse. Just I think more about Willie than the individual, the person, than I do Willie, the unbelievable athlete.
Dave, what was your first experience?
I grew up in San Francisco, and I'm in my 60s, and Willie Mays was my first ever sports idol. You couldn't escape him. He was everywhere in the early 60s, and he was San Francisco. And when I was a little kid, he moved in a couple houses away from my mother's best friend at the time up in St. Francis Wood. That's another story about what happened to him up there. But we'd be playing outside. He would, after a game, he'd pull up in his convertible and he'd give us candy. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is, he's even nice. When I think about Willie Mays, I think about perfection. He was he was perfect all the way around. Not number one in every category, but in the top 3 or 4, right? Wouldn't you agree, Nate?
I would wholeheartedly, yes.
He was smooth, and he was San Francisco, and I feel blessed to be able to have been in this business and to have met him and to be able to hang out, get to the ballpark early and sit in the dugout and listen to Willie telling stories. And I'm sure you've heard them all, Nate. So why don't you share some of those with us, man?
Please.
Well, he's such a special individual that, I mean, we could sit here all day talking about him, but I will start out with a couple. We were in Dodger Stadium, and I think we were up by a run or two, and Willie hits a line drive to left center field, Dodger Stadium. and the ball hits off the wall. I'm sure you heard these stories in the last couple of days. But being a witness, I had some other stuff that did not occur on TV in the last couple of days. He stopped at first base. And so when the ball went back to the pitcher and all the excitement was over, I yelled to him and I threw my hands up in total disbelief. Chico, well, we called him Chico. I'm sorry. Chico, what are you doing?
Oh, wow.
Chico.
So he said, yeah, Marshall gave him the name, and and jest, and it stuck all those years. But I asked him, what the heck do you think you were doing? Why didn't you go to second? So from first base, he took his four fingers and pointed them in my direction. And of course, I nodded to agree. And he said, see, that's why I'm staying right here. So what he actually literally did is he forced us to pitch to McCovey, because if he goes to second base, it's an automatic intentional base on ball to McCovey.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Smart.
Wow. I know I've heard a lot of stories this week about how he was always willing to give advice gently, kind of say, he told Kevin Mitchell, I think you need to make your bat heavier. And then Kevin went on to have a great year. Did he ever give you any advice, Nate, about how you could better your
when
game?
didn't he give us advice? If Willie said something, it's like E.F. Hutton. You'd better listen. E.F. Hutton says, people listen. If Willie's giving you advice, you had better listen. Because if you don't accept advice from Willie, nobody in the clubhouse is going to pay you any attention. And you're going to be on the worst list possible, because that information that Willie's trying to give you goes worldwide. It leaves our clubhouse. It goes every single place. Every other person that played in the league wanted to have some kind of association or affiliation with Willie. And he always reached out to people if he thought you had an opportunity to be a good player, an outstanding player, or a young player who had some experience and needed a little more information about how things are done around the league. He'd be more than happy to ask whoever your manager was, your coach was, anybody that he knew, to introduce you to him so that he can spend a moment or two trying to explain things to you and the way they worked and operated at the major league level.
He was like the Pope.
Yes.
When you go in the clubhouse, he used to kick it in Mike Murphy's office, and the hallway would be packed. You couldn't get by because everyone was trying to get their head in there to hear what he had to say every day.
Mike Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eddrick?
So, and if you look at and you mentioned Willie McCovey as well, how was their relationship? Because they're so intertwined. And as a little kid, Dave, just to let you know, and I think I've shared this with you guys before, my grandparents and my parents were big National League fans, because the National League played Negro League style baseball, the aggressive and running and stealing bases and the exciting baseball. And so I never really knew that until later on when my dad was telling me. That's why we didn't really mess with the American League. But I remember as a kid, it was Willie Mays and Willie McCovey. So seeing those two together all those years, how did McCovey influence Mays, and how did Mays influence McCovey?
Well, like Nate said, he knew that he was willing to Willie was willing to sacrifice his own stats to make sure that Willie had a chance to swing the bat. Unselfish.
Yeah, there were a number of times when that we were going to walk McCovey if Mays went to second base, or we were just we were going to take the bat out of his hand completely. But Willie was, and I've said this many, many times, Willie, Joe Morgan, John Roseborough, Jim Gilliam, those types of guys were like light years ahead of us as far as baseball IQ was concerned. Willie already had everything figured out long before you threw a pitch, long before you took the field. All of those things he had put into his computer and he just reacted to them. He had people talked about all of the skills he had, physical skills, but he was light years ahead of the rest of us in terms of what was going to happen, how was it going to happen, when it was going to happen. And his instincts are probably at the top of the list as far as anybody that's ever played this game of baseball. His tremendous instincts told him if he does this or that, McCovey get to hit. Or if he did that or he did the other, McCovey's not going to get the hit. So knowing that if and when he hit a ball in the gap, if and when he hit an extra base hit, he was just not going to go to those other bases, because then we take the bat out of McCovey's hand. There's a possibility the next guy comes up, ground ball, double play, we're out of the inning. He was well aware of all of that stuff. There was a time we were in Dodger Stadium, and we were in Dodger Stadium. We were playing against the Giants, and in those days I use that old funny language. So he hits McCovey for some reason is playing left field this day. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. I don't know who played first base that day. It could have been Felicia. I don't know who it was. But anyway, McCovey's playing left. And Willie Davis comes up, and usually a ball that's hit to left center from a left-hand hitter, it tails toward the left field line. McCovey and Mays, and if you've been paying attention the last couple of days, you saw this play on TV. You saw Willie go past McCovey, go past Willie in front of him, and Willie reached behind him and catch the ball. Well, the next person up was Tommy Davis. You couldn't really defend Tommy any one way. Tommy hits a line drive to the right center field. Now, Willie gets on his horse, and this is the first time I've ever seen anybody dive parallel to the ground. He catches the ball in the air. Now, mind you, you're familiar with the rivalry. Dodgers, Giants, it was a hate relationship, period. There was no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It was a hate relationship in those days. But let me tell you how much love and affection and respect the Dodger fans had for Mays. After that second play, he catches this ball and he's all parallel to the ground. The Dodgers gave Willie a 7 to 10 minute standing ovation, the Dodger fans.
Wow.
That's how beloved he was in LA. Those are the kinds of things he did. People said, wow, what a great play. What a great catch. I'm sitting there every single day. Mays better catch that ball. He's Willie Mays. It's not a great play to me. It's just Willie Mays being Willie Mays.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, looks like Dave may have frozen up a little bit. We'll get Dave back in just a second.
Oh yeah, I think he is frozen. Of course, there have been a lot of different stories that I've heard over this week. And one in particular was the other night when Reggie Jackson spoke about going back to Birmingham and dealing with the racism that he dealt with as a player. Nate, I know your father played in the Negro Leagues as well. Did Willie ever talk about what he went through as a Negro League player, or did he just prefer to just, move forward and live in what was happening now, living in the now?
Having grown up in Florida, having grown up in the South, our parents and our ancestors made us think there was absolutely nothing wrong, because everything we did in the African-American community. So Mays' father had already informed him of these kinds of things that could and possibly will happen to you. But under these circumstances, and with the growth process that you're going to develop, you have to be a lot like Jackie when he signed with the Dodgers. You have to have the patience of Job. You have to disregard a lot of things that goes on. You have to just brush it under the carpet, disregard it, and focus and concentrate on what you're trying to do. And that is get to the next level, get to the big leagues, and be, we had no idea it's going to be as great as he was, but to become a great player that you are. So if you listen to the last couple of days, I watched him and I watched him this morning with the little guy that interviewed him. But anyway, he said that my father told me, beware of this, don't react to it. Beware of that, don't react to it. Go on about your business. There was a story he told this morning. It was in Trenton, New Jersey. And he was the only black player, I think, on either team. And he said his first time up, he hit a home run. And as he's coming in, he hears all kinds of negatives and racial comments from the people in the stand. So the second time up, he hits another home run. And he heard even more negative and racial comments. So the third time he goes up, the PA announcer sort of, in my opinion, interrupts the game and says, you people, please leave this man alone. He has already hit 2 home runs. And if you leave him alone, maybe he won't hit a third. And that's when the people of Trenton, New Jersey fell in love with Willie Mays, and they literally gave him a standing ovation.
Wow.
But realistically, the third time up, he did hit a home run. Bob Costas, this morning, I'm watching Bob Costas and Mays in Studio 42, and Willie told that story.
Awesome.
Talk to me about the man outside of the baseball uniform, because we see him as this gigantic icon, always in the baseball uniform, but you got to see him outside of the uniform, off the field. Talk to me about the Willie Mays off the field.
Well, I can tell this story now, God rest his soul, but I knew about 40 years ago, and Willie never, ever wanted anybody to know this, but he gave out 2 full ride scholarships. I don't know how they were given, but he didn't want anybody to know that that's what he did. And he did that. And I promised him, and I kept that secret until a couple of years ago. I said, well, he's not going to be able to get me now. So I began to tell people some of the things that he did off the field. I remember he, in the old days when we spring training in Arizona, in Casa Grande, Arizona, was literally nothing but desolate sticks and terrible area in which to live. But we had our spring training facility there. And he would drive, man, literally, let's just say from the distance might have been from here to Richmond, might have been from here to San Jose. And on a couple of occasions, he really was much of a loner, but he didn't feel like being alone on a couple of occasions. So this is the thing that really I question about Willie a lot of times. He would go to Herman Franks, who happened to be our manager, and he would say to Herman, I'm taking Pee Wee home with me tonight. That was my nickname. And I said, Willie, you can't do that. He said, I can't do what? What are you talking about? I said, you have to ask the manager, can you do something? He said, Herman, I'm taking Pee Wee home with me. Let's go. That's just I guess you could say that's the rapport he had with everybody that he encountered. We were in Phoenix one night, and I didn't realize how close he was to Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt had invited Chico to a game, and the way they were going to do it, they were going to try to be very sneaky. So what they decided that prior to game time, and Willie always took me places with him, we would go in and we would sit on the front row opposite the team benches on the other side in hopes that Willie could get to watch an NBA game. So, of course, they took us in. We sat down on the front row. And before the first quarter was even 5 minutes into the game, the people from the other side recognized that Chico was sitting on the front row on the opposite side of the gym. And a bunch of them got up, came over to the side where we were, down the aisle, which literally blocked the entire aisle, blocked all the people that were trying to see with seats on those aisles. And it was tremendous fire hazard because nobody could move anywhere in that area.
Oh, we lost this.
Oh, Nate, we lost the sound.
You're muted, Mr. Oliver. Yeah, we lost your sound, sir.
It's getting good.
Yeah, it was. uh,
Can't
no,
hear you.
can't hear you, sir.
You want to log out and log back in, Nate? Oh, I see
Can
he's
Oh,
you
on
hear me
mute.
now?
there we are. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these people are lined up. It's a fire hazard.
Mhm.
There must be 100 people trying to get to Willie, get an autograph, shake a hand, hello, acknowledgement of some sort. And we had to get up and leave. It was just disheartening to me because I know he very rarely goes places because of things like this, because he can't really enjoy himself without, and the people don't mean any harm. Let me make that perfectly clear. But he just would love to have been able to sit there and just enjoy that NBA game because it has some tremendous players, Connie Hawkins, Baylor, West, those kinds of guys during that time period. And, we just had to get up and leave because he really literally more or less interrupted that basketball game.
Hmm. Hmm.
What impact do
But
you? Oh, go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
When you got the news that he had crossed over, um, can you share what what that feeling was like?
First of all, it was disbelief because somebody sent me a text and said Mays Chico just passed. And, it didn't really phase me at the time. And Chico's not that sick. I don't think this is true. I think this is something, somebody playing a game or trick or something. But then again, it came on the TV a couple of seconds after that, and I was just totally devastated. And last 2 or 3 days, I still haven't gotten over it. And when I see something, it really does affect me because I think about all the things that he did for so many people.
Mhm.
I think about the 6 kids that were there in Birmingham because of the scholarship that he started and that the Giants picked up on. Um, I think about all the people that he helped. I think about comments that were made by Orlando Cepeda at times when he made a comment and then he said he took care of every one of us in that clubhouse. And he made sure that every one of us in that clubhouse were treated equal, whether you were the 90th player at the end of the bench or were you the next person in terms of skills and ability next to him. He said, Willie said this many, many times to us. He said, if a person is in this clubhouse in this uniform, they belong here and they will be treated with all the dignity, all the respect in this clubhouse as long as I'm captain and as long as I'm on this team. That's the way he felt. He felt about everybody. He wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable in their own skin as well as being comfortable around each other. And he made sure that that happened in the Giant clubhouse.
Um, the other, we always see Willie Mays. You see the catches, you see him, hitting home runs. But I think one of the things that struck me was that he was such a great defensive player in Candlestick Park, which is probably one of the toughest
Ooh.
defensive parks to play in. So, talk to me about him playing in the elements of Candlestick and maintaining that level of greatness with such adverse circumstances.
Remember now, Eddrick, I told you that Willie made adjustments to every situation, to every environment. He knew exactly the direction that the wind is going to blow every night in Candlestick Park. And 99% of the time, he was absolutely correct because the reason he was able to make that adjustment is because the wind literally blew from left field across to right field every night. And if you've heard, and you may not have heard, but I was told by one of our clubhouse guys that they honestly feel that deep down in their hearts, May has hit 100 or more balls to left field in Candlestick Park that were not home runs. And when he
Mm-hmm.
realized these kinds of things were happening to him, he made the adjustments and began to try to hit more and more balls to right and right center field. You figure he ended up with 660 home runs, but think about the fact that let's just be realistic. Even if 50 of those home runs had gone over the fence, that's 710.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 2 full years of military service. Tack on a few more.
Wow.
There were all kinds of things that happened that really he just adjusted to and did the best he could under those circumstances, and went on to be as great as he was, and probably till this day, until till I die and the rest of us are gone. There will never be another 5-2 player that could do the things that Willie could do. Led the league and stolen bases 3 times. Just all kinds of things that he could. And the catch, he said, was not his greatest play in the major leagues, but the rest of us don't believe that. Because how many people are going to be able to catch that ball like that with their face facing the center field wall? We don't believe that. And then he told me, he said, I was concerned not about catching the ball, but about how I was going to get it back in because there were people on base. And then I think he threw that thing like almost to shortstop in the air with his momentum going in the wrong direction. But he just, a part of what he wanted to be was a showman, so that if you came to the ballpark today and saw him play, you wanted to leave with that impression of the three word wow. I mean, the 3 letters wow. I want to come see this guy do this again. I remember he just wanted to be able to have the people come to the ballpark and enjoy the game of baseball at its highest level, and that's the way he tried to perform day in and day out.
We talk about what he what he meant to others and to the community, but how was he as a family man? We don't hear much about his
He
personal life.
didn't. Willie didn't. He didn't talk about the family very much. He loved his wife. He cherished her. Took care of her until she passed away, and she took care of him, of course.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things that I do know is if you went down to visit, you knocked on the door, maid's going to answer. Willie's going to be out in the what do you call it when the guy's got his own place out there?
Man cave.
Man cave. Yes. Willie's going to be out in the man cave, and May's going to send you back there. Come to the door, May. He's out in the man cave. Come on in, go on out. Visit with him, speak with him, talk to him, have him sign you some autographs, whatever the case might be. That's the rapport that they had. And of course, you've been reading what the son has been saying over the last 3 years, and I'm sorry, the last 2 or 3 days about his father. So it was an unbelievable man with an unbelievable family that he kept very private. And I think that's the word that we'd like to use. He was very private with his private life.
That's something we need to apply today.
Exactly.
Especially with social media.
Everybody don't need to know your business. And talking about that exposure, the media was so different back then, and I'm sure there were probably writers who were openly hostile to Mr. Mays, who probably didn't want to see him succeed. How did you see him handling the media back then, which is totally different than it is today? But how did you see his interaction with the media, and how did he handle it when those writers probably weren't necessarily trying to put his best interest forward?
Whatever they did because of what he did, they had no choice. We had a day off, and we usually have a day off on Thursday, Roderick. And Willie would fly out on, especially if we're going to New York, Willie would fly out Wednesday night after the game. The rest of us would leave on Thursday, arrive in New York. I get to my room and the lights on, and I didn't know anybody in New York City. Why is my message light on in my hotel room? So I answer, and the message says, Mr. Mays would like to have you come to room suite so and so and so and so. after you get in and get settled. So I do that. I go down to the suite. I go into the back room, and there is a bed full of sweaters. Now, in those days, Roderick, sweaters, they were called alpaca sweaters. And we're talking 1968, and these sweaters are $50 a piece.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a
A
lot.
a lot of ducats for a young brother. So I go in, you go in waves. And I go in, and the left side of the bed at the foot, there's a package with my name on it. So I go over and I see this package. Now he's very sensitive about people thanking him and saying thank you and appreciate this. Pee Wee, get the 2 sweaters and get out of my room. I said, but Chico, a brother can't buy no sweater for $50. I barely have $50 meal money. And here you are giving me $100 worth of sweaters. Well, Roddy, let me tell you this. Every player, every coach, every media person, every announcer, all receive 2 sweaters with their names on them.
Wow.
That's how he was able to draw people in and make them understand who he was and what he was all about. Now, to answer the question from the outset, you knew that there was those that were dumb and stupid enough not to elect him unanimously into the Hall of Fame. So those are the kind of media personnel that you're talking about. But everybody else who had any brains and understand what just transpired for 24, 25 years realized what a marvelous individual and what a tremendous player. We had the pleasure and we were given the honor by God to be able to be around, witness, and see and appreciate.
There are so many players like Mays who have definitely carved out their own niche in Major League Baseball during a time where they didn't want black players to play. They didn't want to integrate. And now we're looking at a pastime, if we still want to call it America's pastime. We've got about 6% African American. We have Black Latino players, but
Mhm.
African American is like at 6%. What do we need to do in the communities to expose children to baseball and the history that is baseball? I know, but it's about basketball and football right now. But how can we get the youth more? I mean, it's guaranteed money. Your body's not going to betray you like it would in basketball and football. But they say it's boring. How can we get the youth to love it like they did when Eddrick and I were growing up?
There, I'm involved in 2 programs right now. One, believe it or not, now God does things. One of them is I'm affiliated with a group in Birmingham, Alabama, of all places.
Wow.
And the program is named the Piper Davis program. Piper Davis, just so you'll know, was Willie Mays' first manager.
Hmm.
Piper has a program that I'm involved in, and we are trying to revive that program. We were doing very well until COVID, and
Yeah.
we haven't been able to readjust since that time. But we had 13 states. We had the Bahamas. We had not South Africa, but Glory. What's that city where the guy came from? Where we were going to go? Anyway, one of the African countries we were gonna. But that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to develop kids hopefully, God willing, get them into college and get them seen and get them scouted and all these kinds of things. The other program I'm involved in, I just got involved in 2 years ago. And this program is called the number two Coach U. It is a program it's supposed to be a pilot program through Major League Baseball. I don't know. I don't have all the facts. All I know is that 3 to 4 times a week, we go to the elementary schools in Oakland. It's under the Oakland Unified School District pilot program. And then this is where the best part of it is going to be, because we begin to train these kids from kindergarten to second grade. My wife sees me go out here on Saturday morning, then don't come back until 5 o'clock in the evening. But we train that group from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. And then we get the second wave, which is 3rd through 5th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So what has happened here in this area, and we're beginning to develop them early, because if you two should know that Oakland had a surplus of Major League Baseball players come out of Oakland. And to say what in the world happened and why don't we still have this kind of production out of Oakland? Well, a couple of things happened. One, the scouts stopped coming in. And secondly, like you said, integration hurt the African-American baseball player more than segregation ever did.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because they moved us. If you grew up in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, all those places, they bust you from your neighborhood where you can walk across the street to your elementary, your middle school, or your high school. They bust you down to about Richmond or someplace, and you know darn well there's only one bus in, one bus out. Our parents didn't have a car. I mean, they had a car, but they couldn't utilize it to go back and forth to pick you up. So what actually happened is, once that one bus left, you couldn't stay there and practice baseball, because if you did, you wouldn't be able to get home. And so the way they set it up and the way it affected us, to me, this is me speaking for me, I think that's one of the things that happened.
And I know that it's also cheaper for them to go over into the Latin countries and hold different programs. And why is it they don't want to sacrifice and putting the money in our communities?
Because they spent it all in the Dominican. Having had the opportunity to go there a number of times, coach on behalf of the White Sox and whoever else I coach with, every major league team, I want you to think of it as a hotel condominium with 4 or 5 baseball fields, with living quarters, all of the accommodations that you possibly need and have to develop a player and to develop many players. Every major league team has one of these. In order for us to have an opportunity, we need some of those here in America, so that our kids can get there, so that they can hone their skills, so that they can develop, so that they can stay there. What is it, 5 or 6 months? So once you go there in January from your residence, you stay there the entire spring and summer until after, probably, I think it's the 1st of September when the minor league season ends. But see, they are there developing, playing games, all of that stuff every single year. So it's very easy for those kids to develop and hone their skills. We just need to have Major League Baseball not just do the Birmingham and the Old Negro League one time, 3 days in Birmingham. They need to extend themselves and so that we, as African Americans, can get involved firsthand and develop and hone our skills at home and our kids.
There's also the love of baseball as a kid, because I played organized baseball, many years growing up, but I also fell in love with baseball in the summer with my buddies, with a tennis ball at the park, with a bat, and just spending all day playing three flies up or strikeout. I mean, there's also
Yes.
the love of the game that's developed organically, and so maybe as the academies and things like that, God willing, they get up to speed. Maybe there's also a
Mhm.
way we touch back to, I don't want to be too sentimental, but to me, that's truly where the love of the game started for me.
Yeah, I think Sandra, that's why we have begun to do it at an early age. We have kindergarten and second grade, we have third through fifth. So if we can get our hands on them. And then one of the other things that I think will help tremendously is when I'm teaching younger people, I don't use a hard ball. I want you to think about the
Mhm.
times when you were small and that baseball hit you. A
Right.
lot of kids get hit with that baseball at an early age, they are done
And it's
because
it.
that ball hurts. So what we've begun to do is to train with the incredible ball or the middle ball between hard ball and rubber ball, or even go to the balls that you rehab your fingers or hands with when you break your wrist or
Hmm.
something like that, so that once that ball does hit that kid and they begin to frown and tears would normally begin to come out of their eyes, they go, oh, wait, that didn't hurt. So now they gain a lot more confidence that they can go in and do these things and develop these things, as opposed to if that ball hits me, I'm finished. Not going to play this sport anymore. So hopefully that's one of the things that will happen, and then the kids will be able to develop that fondness and that love for the game. But having been around for the last couple of years, there's a lot of talent that we've seen with the young people, the little people, and a lot of them really do like and love the game of baseball. So let's just hope the things that we're doing, we can enhance them, and they can get more and more and more of us back on the field and in Major League Baseball.
That's good to hear, and we got to get the fields together too. Where they don't have to play on a field that's full of broken glass, and
Yeah, or
so
50 miles
whatever we
away.
can do, Edric and I can do. Yeah, yeah. However we can support you, please let us know.
Well, I work for Oakland Park and Recreation Steel, believe it or not, and we've got fields, and our public works department will manicure them. It really helps, believe it or not, that the ballers have come to Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
They've reached out, they've touched a lot of the kids, they've reached out to the communities. As a matter of fact, they asked us, the two Coach U group, to wear their shirts and jerseys and caps, and uh, so that they can help us to help our kids. But as far as the fields are concerned, our group, they're beginning to do more and more as far as manicure, and a lot of them are fenced in. So hopefully we can keep the bad element out, and our kids can
Mhm.
enjoy themselves on Saturday and Sunday like we used to. Like Roger said, play it all day and then get hungry or thirsty until the end of the day when mom told you it was time to be home. So
Right.
that's the kind of attitude that we hope we can develop in those kids.
Well, Mr.
Well,
Oliver, it's been fantastic hearing you share your reminiscences of Willie Mays. The legend that he was, and for Felicia and myself to actually speak to you is just an honor, because you got to witness that every day. You got to see that man, um, on the field, off the field. Got to know him personally, and he's just one of those giants of American history. Not just just American history. He's
Hmm.
one of those people that when they write the history of this country, um, he was even immortalized in a song. Willie Mays, Mickey and the Duke. I mean,
Yes, yes.
as
And
American.
I guarantee you right now, they are singing that song because now with Willie being there, the three of them in heaven. So they
Yep,
can go back to Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
that's right. That's
well,
right.
Nate, can you sing a line from it, because Nate has a beautiful voice.
I don't know it, but all I know is, like it says, it is Willie, Mickey, and the Duke. Hey, 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 say hey. Yeah,
Say
that's
hey.
good stuff.
Say hey.
The guy just got hit in the head. Oh my
Oh.
God. I'm watching the game.
Oh
Tampa
wow.
Bay's Siri just got hit in the head. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, guys,
Oh,
Oh
to do
wow.
that.
Oh, it's okay.
oh, that's
It's okay.
okay.
It's all right. It's all
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Live baseball.
And
Oh,
tell
it
your
looked like he's
beautiful
holding.
wife hello.
Beg pardon?
I said, tell your beautiful wife hello.
She's listening. She heard you. Guys,
Hello.
thank you so much for having us. Ooh, he's got that thing in his mouth. He got hit in the mouth. Thank you
Oh
so much
wow.
for having us, uh, and happy to share anything about Chico.
Thank you. Whenever you want to talk baseball, Mr. Oliver, please come back. Please come
Yes.
Well,
back.
you guys have my number.
All right.
All right,
Yes,
thank
we
you, guys.
do.
Thank you so much. All right, bye
Thank
bye.
Thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much.
The great
Welcome.
Nate
Bye.
Oliver. Nate Oliver, former baseball player, former teammate of Willie Mays. Man, those stories. Whew,
Wow. You know,
all
you
day
just
long.
take things for granted. I never thought to ask him.
Chico?
Chico. Now,
Wow.
we got something special. I haven't heard anybody talk about his nickname being Chico.
Me either. Me either.
Yeah, we
Chico.
got a
Chico.
nugget.
Man. But yeah, we lost an icon. We lost
Yeah.
one of those pillars of history, one of those touchstones, and like Mr. Oliver said, there'll never be another one like him at all.
You just kind of think that he'll be around forever. Because when I heard it, I was just like, it was almost like, how dare he leave? You know,
Yeah.
he's always been there,
Yep. 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 And
93 years strong.
so but
That's
yeah,
just
shout out
him.
to all, of course, we want to send our well wishes and condolences to his family,
Absolutely.
the baseball community, but yeah, it doesn't get any more iconic than, I mean, we throw around that word all the time, icon and legend. I mean, we do, and it's kind of, people just use it, I think, overused.
It's very loose
But Willie
today.
friggin' Mays, nah, that's that was an icon. He was that dude. Um,
Him, the Hank Aaron's of the world, gentlemen on and off the field,
hmm
upright citizens, you know,
killing the
not,
game.
yeah, no ego,
hmm
just yeah, another regret I have. I would see him as an intern and I would just look at him because everyone would be around him. And so I didn't want to do that.
And,
So I would just watch him from afar.
hmm,
And, if I could have just touched him one time and said hello, but
yeah, I never got to
no.
meet him, obviously, but as a little kid, I did get to see him play. And matter of fact, I was going to
Wow.
pull out some of those old photos from
Oh,
my parents'
yeah, because
old
of
photo
the
books. But
photo
my
of Dave, too.
yeah, but my parents, they took us to Giants games when my brother and I were real little, and they want to make a point of us seeing. Would say there, because my grandfather would come out from Arkansas, or my uncle would come out, and so we'd always go to the game. And yeah, that was Willie Mays out there, and they just love watching him play. And it's a shame that he couldn't have played in an un-racist environment. You imagine what he could have done for the
Woo.
world had people just been kind, and we haven't always
Mhm,
had a history of kindness
mhm,
from certain societies. So you wonder, these players like him, like a Bill Russell, those guys, what if they
mm.
could have played in an environment where they didn't have to always fight, where they could just apply their trade and be great.
Right.
How
Or look
freeing that
for
would be.
places to be fed or to
Right,
eat,
right,
sleep.
right,
Just,
right.
I mean, hearing Reggie Jackson talk about it was just painful.
Yeah, and
You
that was
can,
so honest. That was so honest. 'Cause like he said, no, I'm not. No, I don't have good feelings coming back here. I mean, and that was a real.
that's why I love him
It was
and
real.
always have loved him, even when people didn't love him,
Right, right.
because he and Barry Bonds were not the type of players that were going to smile in your face to make you feel better.
Nope.
You
Nope.
don't know what they endured. And now, when I became an intern, I learned the things that Barry was enduring,
Mm,
hate mail, best friend dying, uh, and the best friend was getting married, and Barry paid for his weight loss surgery, and they died on the table. And there's things like that, the public doesn't know. They just know, oh, Barry Bonds not nice just because he's not showing all 32, as my dad would say.
Right.
And we don't know. And I found Mr. Jackson is always kind and always willing to talk. People have warned me, well, don't say anything to Reggie Jackson. He's not so nice. He's always been great with me, but you just don't know the baseballs. I
Yeah.
tend to think baseball was like 100 times worse than basketball for these players. It just,
Mhm.
especially with Babe Ruth, and hearing about how he was racist, and but then they say that he was half black as well.
Well, that's that part. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I think I'll leave that one. I got to catch myself sometime. I'm gonna leave that one alone. But I will say,
The nose, the lips.
yeah, he, I don't know if there was any boxes of lye and straightener in his. I don't know. We're not starting nothing. But you never
Hey,
know.
it,
Maybe,
it could be an
maybe,
imitation of life situation where he was
maybe,
in denial.
maybe. But yeah, just shout out to the great Willie Mays, and maybe it's a way to revisit baseball. So maybe. Um, whew, that was a lot to get into at the start, but
That
let's
was
rewind.
we started the show like
Man, man. So we were glad to be back, and Felicia, it was good to see you, and we haven't talked in a while, so
ooh,
we got some stuff to go over. I do,
moving. I'm in my new spot.
I know it's always stressful, and then
Ooh,
tonight,
very
I have an engagement later, a little bit later on, so we'll get out of here in about another 15 or 20
sure.
ish. But so much going on in the world of sports. I know we had our rundown. Let's talk about let's keep it local. Maybe you want to start with Clay and the situation with Clay.
Yeah, there's, I just really hate the way clickbait is today. Someone made a headline and made it seem like Clay was signing with the Dallas Mavericks.
Right.
There, this isn't right. People there needs to be some guidelines for people to
Yeah.
be able to just get on there and just do false, a false narrative.
Hmm.
He's not going to the it. What Anthony Slater came out a couple of hours ago, and actually I didn't get to read it, but I saw that it was about Clay. But another story had said that it looks like he may stay,
Hmm. Hmm.
but you never know.
Well, I did
Know,
see an
he
article.
unfollowed the Warriors and then followed Banchero.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we talked about that a couple shows ago about where Clay could fit is Orlando because of not
Orlando's
just
perfect.
the younger team and the amenities and the water for his boat. I mean, we talked about that, but
Not far from the Bahamas, where his family is.
right there
Just a
was
flight away.
I forget which writer wrote this, but there was an article that came out that said that if does stay and if the Warriors then they can come to some kind of agreement,
Hmm.
it would have to be more than Draymond's deal. Maybe more money, maybe not as many years, but if Draymond got what 4 for 100 or whatever he got ish, is Clay worth more than that? And I think you can make the argument that yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So do they have the wherewithal to lob out another $100 million contract, which would make it at
Ooh, their
least
luxury
three?
taxes already.
Yeah, at least three. So as a Warrior fan, I would hope that they can keep Clay, but as a fan of the NBA, we do have to be realistic as Warrior fans and know that it's a business. Very few players get to play the entire career with one team.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just hope that if well, the one thing I do appreciate for Clay is that he's in control. If nothing else, as an unrestricted free agent. He's in
Mhm.
control. So that's,
Mhm.
for Clay, I'm happy for him in that he's not at the control of someone else or at the whim of a trade or something like that. They can still do a
Mhm.
sign and trade, but he has a lot to say about that. So we will see.
Good for good for Clay. You know,
Yeah.
I know the
Yeah.
one good thing about the Warriors we haven't had a situation where we've just been like disgusted at a trade or our core not getting a contract that they deserve. We've been
Right.
fortunate in that case. There's a
Yeah.
lot of other teams we've seen them trade away their guys and the fans are outraged. We haven't really had that problem.
Not
And
since
I
Monte.
would
Not since they traded Monte and my mom went off.
and and look what happened with
Yeah,
that.
exactly. But you're right. The Warriors have had some real stability over the
Hmm.
past 7, 8, 9, 10 years. With now, obviously, Bob Myers had a lot to do with that, and
Yes.
is it going to be that smooth for the next 3 to 5 years? Because we all know Steph's probably got a 3 to 5 year window, at best. Hopefully, we want him to play till he's 40. I think, unlike LeBron, and this is going to sound kind of harsh, but it doesn't, and I don't mean it that way. I don't think Steph needs basketball as much as it seems like LeBron does.
Hey,
You
I
know what I'm
agree on
saying?
that.
And
Mhm.
not knowing LeBron, not knowing his business, whatever, but it just seems like uh, he really, really, wants and needs to play. I think, to me,
Right.
Steph seems to be a different kind of person in that I could see him knowing when to walk away at the perfect moment. I don't see him waiting and staying too long. Um,
Yeah, because LeBron wants to play with his kids.
right. And
Kid,
we'll
you
see
know.
next year for LeBron. Nobody's done what he's doing, but they say Father Time's undefeated. At some point, it's
Mhm.
going to diminish, and when that happens, you always want to get out before. So we'll see, we'll see, we'll see, we'll
We'll
see.
see. It's going to be interesting to see with JJ Redick as a new head coach how
Yeah,
that's going to play out in the house because they don't have a team.
no, mm-mm,
So,
mm-mm. There was trade rumors about Anthony Davis being traded. I saw him in one trade rumor. They had him going to and like you say, it's clickbait probably, but one trade rumor they had him going to OKC.
wow.
And then the other one was Chicago, but that may not happen now
Whoa.
because Chicago
He's
just
going
traded.
home.
Yeah,
He's from
Chicago.
Chicago.
They just traded. Uh, who's the Laker? The guy who used to play for the Lakers. He's now with
Oh,
Chicago.
Caruso.
Caruso. They traded him for Gidney from OKC.
Yeah, I saw that.
Um, yeah, but you put Anthony Davis on OKC. Ooh, ooh.
That would be a problem.
Be a problem. He could go back to the four.
That would
Although
be a problem.
yeah. So it should be a
Hmm.
wonderful offseason for the NBA. And shout out to the NBA and the NFL because those two sports are the only ones that we talk about year round. Baseball, once it's over, it's over. We don't really talk about it. But the
This is true.
NBA and the NFL, we constantly talk about it. So
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's over. And congratulations to the Celtics. It was the weakest NBA Finals ever.
Yeah. Yeah. It just didn't seem to have any wasn't much drama. Obviously the Mavs won a couple of games, but it just didn't seem. And now, it could be as a Warrior fan, I'm just hating because you know we always want to see the Dubs
I
in
mean,
the
I
finals.
mean,
But
yeah, the history. We don't love anything New England, but
right,
we're gonna support Jalen because he did play 1 year at Cal.
right, right.
So it's that barrier connection.
Yeah,
So okay, let's root for him. But other than that, and I like Tatum. He seems like a good kid.
yeah.
I love his relationship with his son. And it was
Hmm.
so beautiful when his son came up from behind when he was getting emotional, and then he just picked up his son.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. Some great pictures of that, and
oh,
shout out to Al Horford. Shout out to Al
I'm
Horford.
so happy for Al Horford.
Yeah.
First Dominican player to win an NBA title.
Yeah. Now he has an NCAA ring and an NCAA because he won it with Florida, I believe, back in the day. He won one with Florida.
He did play at Florida, huh?
He played at Florida. I think they did win it. He was on that team with I'm blanking on the guard's name, but way back in the day. But I think he did win one
Yeah,
in
because
Florida.
Al's been in the league a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, the Celtics, they just do it right. They got draft picks up to wazoo. They Brad Stevens knew what he was doing when he said, you know, I'm done coaching. I'm going to move up in the booth. And I think the worst feeling other than the Dallas Mavericks organization is probably Udoka. Come on, bro.
You know
Bro,
he
man,
is
man,
behind.
man,
Within a
man.
2-year period, turn that
Yeah,
thing around.
yeah.
And
So
kind of did it quietly. I mean, they're not really, in your face or anything like that. They just,
no, no. Missoula's a
Elo and
great coach.
Holloway, they're just kind of Holiday. They're
Yeah,
just, they're quiet,
they're still young,
no
still relatively young too. You know, they're still
mm,
that core. They can run another 2 or 3 years. So
yeah, they
in the East,
can.
yeah. So
But
shout out
they're
to the
not
South.
but they're not fearful. I mean, they're not like when looking at them, they like you wouldn't Denver concerned me more than
Right.
them.
But you know, I forget what I think it was ESPN. They were running some stats. They actually dominated the season. They had more 20-point wins than anybody. They had, I think,
Mm,
50 wins, more than 10 or 15 points. I mean, they dominated quietly though. It was a quiet domination, but they really
yeah,
dominated the East in the league this year. But to your point, they didn't. Nobody was fearing them. Like, you know, okay, here's this, you know, this team that's just going to blow everybody out. And but
hmm
yeah, they did their thing. So shout out to the Celtics.
Shout out to the Celtics.
Let's see, a few more minutes remaining.
And we can just
Let's.
go ahead with the word of the day and
You ready? All right, let's get to it then. So,
yeah.
all right. So this week, sometimes there are things that are bigger than sports, right? And so obviously everybody knew where they were. I don't know if you watched it, but I watched it live. Everybody, of course, on the internet is talking about Kendrick Lamar's concert
Woohoo!
on Juneteenth, right? Touchstone moment, cultural moment. You're gonna remember where you were when you watched it.
Made me proud to be from the West Coast, that's for
Heard
sure.
that so many
But
mentions and viral this, and it dominated the media cycle and still is dominating the media cycle, the
he's
reels
already in a
cycle
million.
already. And
Mhm.
what he did, and just, you know, sometimes things are just bigger than what they are. Sometimes hip hop is bigger than uh you know, just the music. And what he did, and I even posted this, he is bringing people together, and he's bringing love and hope to our people. And there's a desperate need for love and hope,
Mhm.
in a pool of despair and adversity that it seems to be bombarding us with on social media every single day. So to that end, the word of the day and the song of the day. The song of the day is actually a video, but it is related to Kendrick Lamar. And so the first word is, or I guess the word of the week is, um, entitativity. Entitativity. First of all, it's the only word I ever seen that had tit tat in it, which was hilarious. It's just absolutely hilarious. But entitativity, and how is this related to what Kendrick Lamar did culturally for the city of Los Angeles on Wednesday? Well, the definition is entitativity is a feeling of groupness for social units. It's a way
Mm,
for people to categorize the social units they observe or in which they participate or are members of themselves. There are three components to entitativity: essence, which is the group member similarity;
mhm.
agency, the goals and interaction between group members; and unity, the cohesion of a group and the degree of group importance. So if you don't want to know what I'm talking about, he brought together, and I'm in no way going to claim to be any sort of expert on the interpolitical notions of, you know, the streets in LA. I'm not even, I'm just going to say it like that. But he brought together people who needed to be brought together in a sense of unity, and it was love, and it was, you could just tell, and
And it
people
was
were,
respect.
it was respect. People were shocked and gasping and just, wow. I know they tried to do this years ago. If you remember Self-Destruction, you had it for Self-Destruction. Remember that?
Yes,
We're all in the
yes.
same gang. You remember all that? Okay, so it's been done before, but never with the visibility and the potency that he was able to do it behind this
Yeah,
song.
it was live,
Live. It was
whereas this
live.
was the other stuff was taped. It was on
Exactly.
wax. It was a
Right.
video. He showed up to be in a video.
Right.
These were different sets.
It was amazing. And Tyler Creator and he had Dr. Dre, and he had all these people come out and hit after hit,
Boy Q.
just and narrated. The event was narrated by E40. I mean, he had a script. He read the opening and was the narration.
This set.
Yeah, if you watch the very beginning and just about the beginning of each set of music, I should say, E40, that was his voice. He was reading the
What?
script. Go back and watch it. Exactly.
Yeah, that went over my head.
So, it was just one of those events. And so when I came across this word intertitativity, I said, that's what it was. It was bringing like-minded people together with a sense of agency and urgency. Because the only way for some of this, it's time to combat some of this foolishness that's out there.
Ooh.
And let's hope
rap
that
needs to be saved, and he's saving it.
he is saving it.
This mumble rap stuff
He is
sexy red foolishness.
We grew up with hip hop. So for me, and there's so many levels, and there are people who like that, obviously, because it's pushed on them and it's popular. But I'll leave it with this last thing about the at least this word and what it meant. The last time I remember hip hop or rap or whatever you want to call it having this kind of cultural significance was in the 90s, when the powers that be were trying to shut down NWA. Remember F the Police? And when 2 Live Crew was actually pushing
Born in the USA,
the censorship envelope, because there were people actually trying to shut that down, and it actually went to the Supreme Court. So they actually had a cause. You young people, I know y'all young people don't watch Facebook, but if you young people want to really understand what it's like, go back and read and find out about what 2 Live Crew and what they were going through from a censorship standpoint, and how
it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. That's the last time I remember hip hop galvanizing the world in a moment like that. So shout out to Kendrick Lamar. And so let's get to the song. So I'm going to play a video, and we all know the song that everybody's talking about. And I always say on this show, Felicia, when you listen to a song like They Not Like Us, read the lyrics. It just is so much more impactful. So listen to it and read the lyrics at the same time. But like all great works of art, there's parodies. And so there's a parody song that I saw that I've shared a couple times now because it's so hilarious. But there's a history of parody songs in this country, even going back to
Weird Al Yankovic.
Even going back to Jingle Bell Batman Smells. That was a parody song, right? When I was a kid, right? So anyway, yes, Weird Al Yankovic. But this brother right here, and I'll give you who he is, but he took They Not Like Us and he made it for old heads like me. So I'm just gonna show it. You can read the lyrics and just get ready. You ready? All right, here we go.
Put on my readers.
You got to pay attention to, because it's very funny, and I'll give you all about information about it. Here we go.
Woo. Turn that music down, I'm trying to sleep, folk. Please, bro, I'm a light sleeper, not a peep, yo. Man down, call the ambulance, I can't breathe, bro. Play ball once last month, still walk around like my knee broke. What's up with all these doctors? They don't know my hip, it keep popping. Every time I get to stepping, it just keep locking. How many medications should I take? It's too many options. I'm friends with the mailman like John Stockton. I'ma chill and read the Bible cause God watching. Sometimes you got to stay in, no show niggas. Shout out to Netflix, I'm the type to binge a show with them. Friends steady calling when they know Unc got some old in them. Ozempic for diabetes, that sugar low in them. I think they Mistake me for young. My diabetes is my lightest type 1. This young gang on me at work and she in love. She better make sure keep her older sister from me. I pulled up to the Goodwill with all my hand-me-downs. I gotta pass up on them parties cause I'm old now. Them hoes be looking at my fit like why is he around? All my health records in a zip folder, mega foul. What? Heart acting up. What? Blood pressure up. The last time I thought my time had expired, did an EKG and almost was a flatliner. I'm not like them. 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 I'm not like them.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. That is Lucid Raps. Lucid Raps. And he had a previous viral hit. Some of you may have heard the song Fried Rice, 3 chicken wings and a fried rice. If you haven't, it's everywhere. It's a viral hit where a lot of countries in Asia, people are doing dances to it. But it's at Lucid Raps on Instagram, at Lucid SID Raps on Instagram. And I just thought, that showed you how great that song is, that someone could take it and parody it and make it even funnier. So quick shout out. Let me give you a couple more about Lucid. His music has been played during NBA games on ESPN broadcasts. His song Whole Squad has been featured on Lakers and Knicks games and Suns and Warriors games. He's streaming everywhere. He's performed with Rick Ross, Busta Rhymes. So very talented individual. But again, I'm gonna tell you, if you listen to a song Fried Rice, which is the hook is 3 chicken wings and a fried rice, it will be in your head forever. And I'm not kidding.
I want to hear it then.
It will be in your head forever. So shout out to Lucid Raps for his parody of They Not Like Us for Old Heads Like Me. Hilarious. So
wait a minute. Why am I looking at Roderick Jerome?
You saw that? I snuck it in there.
You snuck it in that after he said it the first time.
Yeah. Have some fun with it.
Start calling you Roderick every now and again.
Have some fun with it. It was an honor to have Mr.
I was about to say it. Call me whatever. It's an honor.
Exactly.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
It's a good show.
Like, who's Roderick?
This is a good one. Thank you for everybody. I can tell you guys, Felicia knows everybody. She can pick up the phone and talk to anybody. Who don't you know?
My cousin's husband. What the heck?
And you just dropped that in an email like it was. Oh yeah, by the way, my cousin used to play with Willie Mays, former baseball player. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay.
I didn't know until I started. Lord have mercy. I had to look it up, and I'm like, cousin, he played for the Giants. Oh, I tell you, you just look at your family. It's just your family,
right?
And you don't,
right? Right. Shout out for him for getting baseball up and off the ground and really doing some things to try to get the pastime back. So
it's just so. I mean, he dropped so many gems today. I'm just so grateful. Those were some stories. The Chico alone.
Chico sound like Willie was a baller too, because he just handing out sweaters like that.
Willie to the people in the booth and the
alpaca.
I was thinking he was making money like that.
Probably
back then,
I'm sure.
But probably he was on a Donna Reed show, and he was
Willie Mays.
Brad Pack, yeah.
He was Willie Mays.
Bless Chico. His heart.
Willie Chico Mays.
Chico and Pee Wee.
Wow.
Chico and Pee Wee. He really seemed like he took a liking to Nate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He took a liking to him. I had a feeling he was keeping some stuff to the vest a little bit.
I'm sure.
He got some more stories.
I'm sure.
I'm
And
like,
that,
come on out with it now.
and that's how it should be. I mean, there's some things he probably, his
Yes,
confidence won't, want to sit on, and that's understandable.
absolutely.
Uh, and that elevated my respect for Willie Mays because, like he said, even though he was Willie Mays, he was private, and that tells me he respected, his personal space. He respected his
Hmm.
privacy, and he didn't let Willie Mays the myth and Willie Mays the name outshine Willie Mays the man.
Hmm.
So he kept it in that perspective, which again just raises the level of respect for him. So
Right. Because
good
we
stuff.
we never heard anything. We just knew that Barry Bonds was his godson.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
what my brother-in-law told me a story today that a friend of his who played, I think, 1 year in Major League Baseball, when they were in the minor leagues, they ran into him and they were like, "Can you give us can you tell us what we need to work on? Blah, 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 blah." And he was like, "No, guys, I'm sorry, not right now. I'm just focused on my godson." And they had no idea it was Barry Bonds.
Wow.
It's like, I'm working with my godson right now. That's one time he didn't give his opinion, his feedback on someone. He was, focused on Barry. What a gift to have a godfather whose name is Willie Mays. Woo.
Exactly. Right. 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 And a father, Bobby Bonds was his
And
daddy.
Bobby wasn't no slacker
No. No. So
himself. I remember seeing him at the ballpark when Barry was with the making that early run,
hmm.
and that man looked like he could still lift. His dad was yoked. Bobby, yeah, he was big. He looked really yoked,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Barry was at one point
Hmm.
in time. So it's been great hearing all the stories. Even the guy that heads the Negro League Hall of Fame, he's a colorful storyteller too. And I'm glad that a lot of people are teaching their children about Willie Mays, even though you and I mean, you remember seeing him play, but a lot of us didn't get to see because we were young.
Right.
We were pretty young. When he was in his heyday, we weren't even born.
Hmm.
But the beauty about baseball when we were growing up is that it was America's pastime. It was the way football is now. It was baseball. I always wanted to be. I wanted to be Reggie Jackson. I wanted to swing like him. I love Catfish Hunter, and we knew sports figures as girls and boys
Yeah.
because it was just baseball was cool, and now it isn't deemed cool because it's not hip hop. So how do we get the kids interested
Yeah. So
in?
we will have Mr. Oliver on again, and as we continue with
Definitely.
this story, and thank you again, Felicia, for the caliber of guests that you are lining up for this show. So as we get ready to get up out of here, any last minute thoughts on our show today, and what are your thoughts as we close out?
My thoughts are I'm thinking just more and more lately with the loss that I've had personal friends that have had double losses like within a week. Like we need to appreciate people while they are here. We really need to. It really made me, in getting ready for this, it made me say I need to appreciate my cousin Nate more and really, 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 you know, celebrate him. And we need to do more of that, especially with the elders in our family. They're the ones that gave us nuggets. And what are we doing now with it? Are we giving? I try to give nuggets to my nephews and things like that, but I feel like I'm the only one doing it. So how is that storytelling and sharing going to continue? So it got me thinking a lot about that. A
Mm.
lot about what was given to us. Things were put into us at young ages. What's being put into, I feel like we dropped the ball. So that's what I take from this show. That's what I was thinking beforehand. And hearing him talk, it just confirmed that I got to do better at, uplifting our elders and giving them their flowers.
Well said. Well said. And I agree with everything you just said. And like you say, it's up to us to use this show to record those memories and
Mm-hmm.
to memorialize the people who literally shared the infield and the dirt with Willie Mays, ran on the same dirt in the same game as Willie Mays. You imagine?
No. Mm.
You look around. Oh yeah, that's Willie Mays just climbing over the fence making a catch.
Willie
Oh
did
yeah,
that.
yeah. Another one. Oh, the sweater. Oh yeah, Willie hooked me up. Oh no,
Oh, you like this alpaca? Yeah, Willie got it.
no, let me hook up with my man Chico.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Chico
My
hooked
boy
me up.
Chico hooked me up.
And on that note, we'll end the show in honor of Chico.
Chico.
Chico Mays. All right.
Chico, aka Willie Mays.
Willie freaking Mays, as some people would say.
Okay. Period.
Period.
With the girl with kids. Period.
Exactly. All right, Felicia, let's get up out of here. Sports in the Bay, Felicia Eddrick. We'll be back next week ish. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us. Share and like and tell your friends. And we're streaming on YouTube now as well. So Sports in the Bay, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Sports in the Bay page. So please check us out. More pages to come later.
Click the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button and let us know. Leave a comment. Even after the recording, after we're done live, just please leave us a comment and we will get back to you guys. So thank you, Felicia.
Thank you, Eddrick.
All right. Sports in the Bay, Felicia and Eddrick. Another one in the wraps. We out. Peace.